What is up, everybody, and welcome back to The Intern. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, another interesting video for you here on the channel. What is the best waiver wire strategy? Today, we're kind of talking about just kind of a strategy that I implement into a lot of my leagues that I'm in for NBA fantasy basketball. And it's kind of a strategy that I feel like most people kind of know about, but we're still going to talk about it because I think personally it's the best way to use the waiver wire. Yes, waiver wire could be for people that are popping off, people that are starting to grow, people that are now looking like good players. That is obviously the way to do it and the way to pick up players, or if one of your players is injured, to pick up somebody. But to be honest with you, the best way to use the waiver wire, in my opinion, is through what I'm going to talk about. So let's first talk about who to pick up. Now, I have it in type of 3 categories, but we'll kind of go against a little bit entirely. Injured team. So first, you could look at it, many examples on this one. We could look at this year, the Pelicans, the Sixers. When times are tough and players are having to sit out players because maybe a back-to-back, that's the people you need to pick up. The bench units that are coming up. Yes, these players are probably not going to be able to be started in a couple of weeks. Yes, there's sometimes limitations to your waiver wire, but I would use it on the players right now. These are the players that are going to be able to get the minutes. These are the players that are going to be able to get the ball. With the injured teams, it could be longer periods that we've seen with the Pelicans. You could look at, I'm just trying to think of somebody off my head. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? It's a long name too, or not a long name, hard to pronounce. Mirotic? Not Mirotic, that's another player in the back of the day. Kirotic? Something like that. He would not be having minutes on a regular Pelicans team. When it comes down to it, with the injuries and everything, players are going to get elevated. Sixers is a great example of that you can see. Justin Edwards, for example, the rookie out of Kentucky. He's getting lots of minutes. Players missing. This is a Miles McBride situation on the right. Miles McBride, when it comes down to it, he's really kind of filling in for Jalen Brunson. There's kind of areas where you could look at, this isn't a waiver wire pickup, Miles McBride would, but when Fred VanVleet goes out, Amen Thompson steps up to the occasion, and Amen Thompson is now a good player that you could really play on a starting lineup for your team. It's right there that if you have examples of that, players can get more minutes and keep growing and having a better chance of getting some points. Then players who fill in position. So let's say one night a center is out or not feeling good. It's another player that is going to fill in the position or something. Or let's say maybe there's a role that's really needed. For example, you kind of maybe look at the Lakers with a center position. Jackson Hayes could be somebody that you could potentially look at picking up. Granted, it's not an injury, but it's somebody that can fill that center position that you should pick up. That's the players who fill in positions more tailored toward after a trade, or tailored towards players that could have potential depending on who they could fill up. Let's look at the second. Who gets the minutes? That's really what you're kind of looking for. All of NBA and all of fantasy, you could say, is really who gets the minutes. Granted, Robert Dillingham is not as good as this of an example. He's not really an example. It's kind of just a rookie to talk about. But you can really just look at who gets the minutes, and it's usually the rookies, players who get developed, or players who are guaranteed minutes. Another kind of 3 categories that kind of mesh in between to each other. No matter what, players are going to get minutes if they get started. What I was kind of saying before I kind of stopped was, no matter what in fantasy, you could say this player is the best ever. If they're not getting minutes, they're not going to perform. I would rather have a mid-tier player getting 36 to 40 minutes a night on a bad team than a top-tier player getting 15. Simple as that. And that's just the case about it, because they have 36 to 40 minutes to really get that stat line, while the other has 15 minutes. And you see that with starting situations where maybe someone's limited and they only can get 15 to 20 minutes, and then somebody starting up for somebody that's going to get 35. That's a perfect way. But who gets the minutes in a situation that's injury, in a situation of a potential blowout? Usually the rookies, usually players that aren't going to be stopped and benched. Players who get developed, which is mostly rookies, but also other players. For example, I keep going back to it, but Justin Edwards for the Sixers, maybe G League players. I'm really looking at Sixers like Jared Butler, someone else that's been just going off for them recently. I mean, Quinton Grimes, obviously, but we'll talk about him a little bit more. It's just players who are going to get developed for a certain reason. And then players who are guaranteed minutes. So maybe there's a starter that's usually there or a 6th or 7th man that usually you wouldn't pick up, but now he looks very good because he's going to be guaranteed minutes. That's the person that I would be looking to pick up, that you can obviously look at and say, okay, it makes a lot of sense that they are going to be great because obviously they were the 6th or 7th man. The starting 5's out. They're going to get some minutes. So now we're looking at why. Why is this such a popular and kind of, I think, really great strategy? The ball has to go somewhere. No matter what, it can be against a tanking team. It could be against a really good team. Chances are, if the injuries are out and the lineup's out, the ball is going to go somewhere and there's going to be a difference and a change in the lineup. So the ball has to go somewhere. More likely, your player is going to get the ball more. Players will get chances. We can look at a lot of examples, which we're about to in a second, of players getting chances because, again, the players are out. There's no one to play. They're going to get a chance. And if they kind of play in their own form, it's really just playing basketball. There's a lot of coaches that, especially this year, that I've seen from Willie Green, Mark Daigneault, when it's come to the Trailblazers, and I mean Nick Nurse, that some players just play together for the first time ever. For the first time ever, they're going to play together. There's not really a set kind of screens. There's not a set kind of plays. It's kind of just a somewhat of an agenda, and they kind of play towards it. That's what I'm looking at, is players will get chances, and then players will keep the minutes. So let's say somebody is getting blown out, and you have a sophomore year player that is obviously here for development. He got the start. He's going to continue to play. There's no reason to rest him because next game, of course, when the team comes back, they're not going to be rested and they're not going to be there. So that's the players that I'm looking at. Now let's look at some examples of this. I don't have an example of a player filling in. Both of these are in either injured team or when players replace other players. I'm kind of looking towards that today, but you can obviously look at other examples of people filling in. I like to look at right now the Miles McBride. I would probably look at Jonas Valanciunas subbing in for Domantas Sabonis. But let's look at some examples. So here's an example of the Oklahoma City Thunder having to rest some of their players: Chet, Jalen Williams, Shea, Harkenstein, a lot of starters, and they played a lot of minutes and played a lot of players. Now, obviously, you're looking at this and you're saying, who is a lot of these players? You might not know entirely unless you're sickos like me. And we can see here, Aaron Wiggins, 30 points. Would Aaron Wiggins start in a normal week? Probably not. In a week that all the starters are rested, this is a time where you use your waiver wire. You have Aaron Wiggins with 30 points, having a decent performance with his rebounds, assists. You have Isaiah Joe with 16 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and a good 3-point with three-point shots. Then you look at the probably biggest one out of this, Jalen Williams, where Jalen Williams is the third center on this Thunder team, and I'm pretty sure just got another triple-double with the Sixers when they rested their players as well. Jalen Williams, triple-double, 2 blocks, 3 steals, which is insane for stocks, 11 assists, 11 rebounds. Good field goal percentage as well. Got the minutes because that's a player that's not going to be playing again. It's another player that's going to be rested. So they're trying to, of course, develop the player. We can see this with even Ousmane Dieng, that they gave him the minutes. Then we kind of look down. Granted, Alex Caruso does usually play sometimes, but he did get some good minutes, 24 minutes. They didn't entirely play him. He got good steals and 17 points. They didn't entirely play him because, again, he's probably an older player that will be in the lineup. So that's why I'm looking at these other players that are younger. That's why it's a big factor to me, because their development. Then we can look at a injured team. And the biggest injured team right now is either the Mavericks, which I haven't even talked about the Mavericks actually for the injured team, which obviously you have Spencer Dinwiddie going off, Brandon Williams, Najee Harris. I've been into football season recently. Najee Marshall. And you have these guys that are easily picked up because of all the injuries around them. You look at the 76ers, that they've had quite amount of injuries. Jeff Dalton. That's who I was thinking of. So you have these players that some of them are development. Justin Edwards is a young guy they're developing. 40 minutes. Granted, this is final in OT. It's an OT game. That's an extra 5 minutes to probably a lot of the starters. I think take away from Jared Butler add to Jalen Hood-Schifino. Or no, Ricky Council. Not Jared Butler, Ricky Council. They got those extra minutes. You look at Quinton Grimes. Obviously, he has been the standout for these injuries. And when teams are so injured, guys like Quinton Grimes are going to put up superstar numbers. It happens almost every year, truthfully. I mean, last year, wasn't it the Grizzlies who was the tanking team that everyone was kind of like, I need to get investigated because I got like only 5 people that can play a game. So it's the same thing with the 76ers where right now, last year it was Vince Williams Jr. looked like a superstar. Now he's probably not even rostered on any team. Quinton Grimes looks like that superstar. I'm guessing the same thing's going to happen next year where Quinton Grimes is going to be a bench player for them. And he's putting up great numbers. Justin Edwards putting up great numbers. It's the same thing that I've been saying. The thing that you need to do is when there's injuries, when there's players missing, when there's a gap needed, you try and find players like that. Granted, there's some situations where maybe that doesn't work. Granted, there's some situations that no matter what, the player still doesn't go off. We could say maybe they're going against a really good team and the really good team just doesn't do that, just defeats them and it doesn't let the other players be good. Stuff happens, but if you're looking to optimize and get the best strategy, it would be right here. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.